All right, welcome to the deep dive. You sent over entrepreneur.pdf, and well, we're going to dive deep into entrepreneurship, as seen through this. And it's not going to be just like a dry how-to on starting a business. It's more about like, getting into the heads of entrepreneurs, what
Mm,
makes them tick, what are the hurdles they face, and what's their impact on us, on society, on everything.
yeah, definitely. It's not just the mechanics, right? We're talking motivations, the big impact they have on society and the future, where it's all going, and all through the lens of this document you gave us.
So what we're going to do today is pull out the most useful nuggets, the good stuff for you. So whether you've got a business idea brewing or just curious about how it all works, we're going to break it down, make it clear and fun, hopefully with some aha moments along the way. Let's jump in.
So the document starts off with this big question, like why? Why do people actually take the leap and start a business? It highlights a few key things, and I think, financial freedom is a big one. It's that desire to be in control of your income and build wealth. But also the source really hits on passion. So many entrepreneurs, they're all about an idea or a field that, they just love. They got to bring their vision to life.
That's true, isn't it? You hear about people finding these gaps in the market or they just have this urge to create something new, like they have to start that business. And the source also talks about problem solving, right? Seeing a need out there and
Right.
wanting to create that solution.
Right, and it's not just personal either. It emphasizes the empowerment you get from being your own boss, the decision making, and maybe even, building a legacy. But it also goes beyond that to the impact on society.
Which is huge. It lays it out, creating jobs, driving innovation, boosting the economy. We often think of these giant corporations as the main drivers, but they all started with one entrepreneur and one idea.
And it's really clever how the source tackles this question that, might pop up in your head. The if everyone started a business, who'd actually do the work question. Something to think about for sure.
Right, like yeah, if everyone's calling the shots, who's actually going to execute? But
Yeah.
the source makes it clear, not everyone is cut out for entrepreneurship or even wants that. It's a certain kind of personality, a certain tolerance for risk.
Exactly. And it makes a really important point. Employees are vital. It even calls them like the backbone of any business. A healthy economy needs a balance, right? Some people thrive in structured roles, some are experts in their fields, and then you have the entrepreneurial minds that want to build and lead.
So it's not a one or the other. Both are needed. Okay, so let's say you have that entrepreneurial spark. What are the first steps according to this? It seems to lay it out pretty clearly.
It does. First up is finding an idea, which sounds obvious, but the real key is identifying a problem you can solve or tapping into a real passion. That drive is what gets you through those early tough times.
And then it talks about selecting a niche. I like that. It's like saying don't try to do everything at once. Focus on a specific part of the market where you can really shine and build that customer base more easily.
Yeah, totally. A smaller niche makes it easier to understand your customers and stand out from the bigger players. Then comes, the less glamorous part, but it's crucial. Market research. Who else is in this space? Who are you trying to reach?
You got to know the landscape, right? Check out your competitors, see what they're doing well, maybe not so well, and really get to know your ideal customer. And then it's planning and strategy time, defining your business model. That's basically how you're going to make money, your pricing, your whole approach.
And then there's all the legal stuff. Registering the business, getting the licenses. Not the most fun part, but it's essential to be legit. Then, if you're not going solo, comes building a team. Finding people who get your vision and who have skills that, complement yours.
And finally, launch and market. Get those first customers, start growing. Can be a bit scary, but the source has this really nice reminder. Every big company, everyone we know, started with one, probably pretty simple idea. And this is where it gets interesting for you, listener, the challenges. It's rarely a smooth ride, is it?
No, not at all. The source points out some really common ones. Financial pressure is a big one. A new business usually takes time to turn a profit, and those early days can be really tough.
Yeah, you're putting in the time, energy, maybe your own money, and you're not seeing results right away. That's got to be hard. And then there's that fear of failure, right? Will it work? Am I wasting my time?
That anxiety is real. And then there's the just plain hard work of finding those first customers. How do you get the word out? How do you convince people to, give your new business a shot?
And the time commitment, right? The source talks about the long hours, especially at the beginning, often with no paycheck. It takes serious dedication and perseverance.
And That brings us to a key takeaway. The source really emphasizes this. Persistence is absolutely key. Every successful entrepreneur has faced similar stuff. It's how they handle those challenges that makes the difference in the long run.
It's like they say, overnight success takes a decade. We only see the end result, not those years of hard work and setbacks. Now, the source gets into a really cool example. Ingvar Kamprad, the founder of IKEA. It calls him an underrated entrepreneur, which I found really interesting.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? We all know IKEA, but we don't always think about the story behind it. The source points out that Camprad started out young, selling matches as a kid. Even then, he figured out that buying in bulk to get a lower price than selling cheaper, that made him a profit. That's like business 101 right there.
Yeah, he was learning early. And then his big idea with IKEA was like affordable, self-assembled furniture. Back then, furniture was often expensive and not something everyone could afford.
Right. He saw a gap in the market and came up with a completely new approach. And that flat pack design was genius. It not only made it cheaper for people to buy, but it also cut down on shipping and storage costs. That's innovation giving him a real edge.
And it wasn't just the design either. The source emphasizes that he was always focused on keeping costs down across the board. Bulk manufacturing, an efficient supply chain, it was a total commitment to affordability.
And the result, IKEA's everywhere. It's changed how people furnish their homes. The big takeaway from Camprad, according to the source, is that success comes from that mix of innovation and just sticking with it. It wasn't a quick win. It was a long-term vision built with dedication.
Definitely. It's inspiring to see how something that seems simple, with the right strategy and a lot of hard work, can become a global phenomenon. Okay, so zooming out a bit, the source also talks about the impact of all these businesses on the economy as a whole. It's bigger than just the entrepreneurs themselves, right?
Oh yeah, it's a key driver. The source highlights a few things. First, job creation. New businesses hire people, which means lower unemployment.
That's a very direct and measurable benefit. As these new companies grow, they need more employees, and that has a ripple effect throughout the entire economy.
Exactly. And then you've got innovation. Entrepreneurs are often the ones leading the way with new products, new services, new ways of doing things. They're the engines of progress.
Think about it. So many of the things we use and rely on today started with someone's vision. It's amazing. The source also mentions economic growth. More successful businesses usually means more tax revenue, which strengthens the whole financial system.
That's the big picture. A strong business sector contributes to a stronger financial environment for everyone. And then there's the benefit of competition. When you have a bunch of businesses competing, it usually means better quality products and lower prices for us, the consumers. Everyone wins.
So businesses, big or small, really are crucial for progress. Okay, turning to the present and future, the source talks about something that's having a huge impact. Artificial intelligence. AI is everywhere.
It is. The source points out several ways it's affecting businesses. One big one is automating tasks. Things like customer support, bookkeeping, even some marketing stuff can be done by AI. This frees up entrepreneurs to focus on the bigger picture, the creative stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you can automate those time-consuming, routine things, you can be so much more efficient, especially in the early days when resources are tight. And the source talks about data-driven decision-making. How does AI fit into that?
AI can analyze tons of data,
Yeah.
market trends, customer behavior, sales numbers, and it does it way faster than we ever could. This gives entrepreneurs insights to make smarter decisions about products, marketing, their whole direction.
It's like having a superpowered analyst on your team, right? Finding patterns, giving data-backed advice, and then there's personalization.
Right. With AI, businesses can tailor products, services, even ads to each customer's preferences. This makes everything more targeted and ultimately more effective.
Makes sense, both for making customers happy and making marketing more efficient. The source also mentions cost reduction. How does AI help with that?
By automating those tasks and streamlining operations, AI can potentially reduce the need for as many employees, leading to lower operating costs.
But the source is careful to say that AI isn't meant to replace entrepreneurs. Instead, it gives them more power. It helps them scale their businesses faster and smarter. It's a tool to help them achieve their vision.
Exactly. It's about leveraging AI to boost human ingenuity and, what entrepreneurs can achieve. And for our listeners out there, if you're interested in learning more, the source gives some great book recommendations.
I love a good reading list. It includes some classics like The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. That one's all about adapting quickly and listening to your customers. Super important in today's world.
Definitely. And Zero to One by Peter Thiel. It challenges you to think bigger, create truly new and impactful things, not just incremental improvements.
And the E-Myth revisited by Michael Gerber, it gets into why so many small businesses fail and gives you a framework for building something that can grow and scale, really practical for anyone just starting out.
It is. And for those with limited resources, the $100 Startup by Chris Guillebeau is great. Lots of real-life examples and strategies for starting a business with very little money.
And for a more personal story, there's Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, the founder of Nike. It's his memoir, a behind-the-scenes look at building a global brand.
A great read, really honest about the ups and downs. And finally, Good to Great by Jim Collins. It looks at what separates successful companies from the ones that don't make it. This list really covers a lot of ground on entrepreneurship.
Definitely something valuable for everyone, no matter where they are in their journey, or even if they're just curious about the topic.
Okay, wrapping things up, the source comes back to that big question for you, listener. Should you start a business? And the answer, it says, is that if you have a great idea and the dedication to see it through, then yeah, it's absolutely worth exploring.
But it also reminds us of that balance we talked about. Entrepreneurship isn't the only path, and a healthy economy needs both business owners and a skilled workforce. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing.
Right. It's about finding what you're good at, what you're passionate about, and contributing in a way that fits you.
So here's something to think about, building on what we've discussed. Remember how Ingvar Kamprad was all about affordability and efficiency? What are some of the ways that that same kind of thinking, that cost innovation, could be applied today with all the new technologies we have? Are there ways to rethink value and accessibility in completely new ways? That's something to chew on. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.